Okay, so today I want to share my experience, the 10 ways to generate income as a working musician. And obviously this is just purely from my experience. If you can think of other ways, just please leave a comment and share your experience. But I just want to give my thoughts after nearly 30 years of doing this, to probably people that maybe might be just starting out or want to maybe change things around a bit. Obviously, the first one would be gigs. I guess that's the reason why most of us start playing, that we want to just go and play with friends and try to generate some income out of that skill. I would say that in my experience, obviously going from playing a small bar, doing a small bar, up all the way to playing festivals and anything in between, like corporate work, weddings, and small jazz gigs, big pop gigs, and anything in between. I found that there are usually two roles. There's the person that finds or generates the work, and the person that is just, let's say, a session player, just turns up and plays. So, and I would say that most times you will be both people. I find in my experience, the skill to learn there is communication, and to be very clear about the time, the when, the what, how much is paid, and are there expenses included in that. So let's try and be as clear and as upfront as possible, so to speak. Of course, from there you want to try over time to increase your how much you're paid per gig, because there will be gigs that you do, let's say, for fun, just because they're you're involved with friends, or you just enjoy the music. But obviously, ideally, the best gigs are those where you play with good players, they are friends of yours, you play good music, and it's paid well in a great venue, in a great, doing less work for more money. Don't kill yourself. Because I find there's a bit of a grind culture where, we all show off, depending on, oh, I've done so many gigs this week, where I find that, for longevity, what you want to do is to have good gigs that pay well, so that you don't have to do as much work over time. Obviously, your body doesn't want to stay up until the early hours in the morning playing for so many sets. You want to just try and be quite efficient in the way you work. So the second stream of income is teaching. In my case, I've been teaching from like one-to-one lessons, both in person and online. I've been teaching in schools, academies, colleges, and different stuff. I've done workshops. Obviously, doing workshops is more efficient because you teach, more people in one go, so you can probably make more money that way. But at the same time, I still feel that the one-to-one is probably still the best situation. That's what I do most of the times. Nowadays, with the online teaching, obviously, it's a lot easier. And I personally feel it's just as good as an in-person lesson. You can also charge not only to teach guitar, but you can charge to teach music in general, music skills, reading, solfege, and stuff like that. And you can teach career. You can give career advice to somebody that maybe is just starting and they want to understand how, they're not from a musical family, they want to understand how things work. Obviously, maybe shy away from giving, like tax advice. That's for specialists. The third stream of income could be writing charts, notating, and arranging. I have quite a few friends actually that do arrangements and do charts and tracks for things like orchestras. There are loads of theaters here in England, or cruise ships, acts that go on cruise ships and want to have needs charts for the band, and that you can make the charts and do the tracks as well, if you have that skill. I've actually written tracks for sessions. I've made money that way. I've written charts, and again, if you have this skill, could also be something that saves time and money. Let's say from my album, I did the charts for the band and the horn section, and that really saved me a bit of time. Also, you have more control over how the music sounds. Um, but in general, I'd say that that's a great skill. You can be a copyist. You can copy music that was handwritten to, more like a software, a better professionally looking chart, which is something you can do nowadays. There are software that scan and give you a good head start on the way, how the chart looks, so to speak. But that's another skill, like arranging and notation. Another thing, and obviously this is a bit of an ethical thing. You have to do it in the right way. I've been part of bands where I was given a gig. I made charts for myself, either lead sheets or guitar parts. And at the end of the gig, the person saw that the charts were actually quite correct, and they offered to pay me to hand over the charts, so to speak. There's a situation where you could probably just give it, if you're close friends, if you had a long relationship, that's a different story. But I would say if you put a lot of time into it to do them properly, I think it's fair to come up with a decent remuneration for the time that you use to write the charts, because obviously that's something that the other person will use to generate income, so to speak, at gigs. Yeah, this has happened a few times, and I've seen friends as well that has happened to them. The fourth way is obviously recording and writing sessions as well. I would say recording happens to me more because obviously I'm not much of a pop writer and songwriter, even though I've collaborated in different situations with singers. But I do, I wouldn't say I'm an LA session player that does spend all day recording, but I've had a certain amount of experience in recording albums and tracks and jingles and stuff like that. And obviously nowadays you can do it from home, which is great, rather than going to a studio or somebody's house. I have a different home studio. But again, there are some MU rates here in the UK for that and for gigs. But I find that unless you are in a really big session, like a symphonic thing or somewhere where you're recording a soundtrack, I would say that that's, the remuneration is something that you work out with a person that you're working for that is requesting your recording services, so to speak. So there isn't really a figure. Obviously, there are MU rates here in England. I'm sure there are rates in the country where you live in. And you can, you know, obviously you can take that with a pinch of salt, so to speak, because um, it's down to the budget that the other person has, and it's down to your relationship with that person. If he's a stranger, if how long it will take you, are they going to use this for a demo for commercial stuff? Are they going to use this just for their own? Is this like an original project? So you can work out what you feel is a good amount of money. And obviously, it's up to you. It depends on your financial situation. For some people, let's call it $100 is a lot of money. For some people, $100 is absolutely nothing. So it's up to you to figure out what's a good amount of money for you for your time. A fifth way of earning money is through royalties and sync music, so to speak. This again, it really depends how much you're involved, how much music you write. Make sure you know the legalities connected to this. But again, it all adds up. Even the small amounts add up through time. Nowadays, you can earn royalties through music that is used on YouTube and is used online. So do your due diligence, do your research, and see if that's something that you might be interested in doing. I feel that like with all library music and sync music, unless this is your original project, it's better if you get involved with other people that are already in the business, so to speak, because obviously they will be instrumental in telling you how things work, so to speak. The sixth income is to record, which is connected to the last one, is to record backing tracks and sell backing tracks and sell library music as a one-off rather than having royalties. So you can make packs, you can make sample packs. Let's say if you play guitar, you can find a way to sell to a single person some packs of samples or backing tracks or sound-alike backing tracks. Let's say if somebody wants a back, obviously if you have the skills to do that, recording and mixing and mastering, you can be part of that. You don't have to do everything, so to speak. Um, and again, here it really depends because obviously, if you're making a sample pack to give to a library, they will have their own amounts that they charge, and you will take a cut of that. Each library is different, each website is different. But I would say if you do it for a person, then again, you will have to work out what's your relationship with that person and what's a good amount of money that you think you could charge. Again, there's an agreement between two people. That's all it is. Seventh, again, is to record and release your own music and anything that is connected with that, the touring and the merchandise, because you can you can record your albums and still at gigs, there are still people that buy CDs. Nowadays, I kind of feel that at some gigs, I actually give them away as a donation-based thing. It depends on the kind of gig you do. There's some original gigs that I do, some small jazz gigs where I just give them as a like donation. It's just to kind of top up the gigs, so to speak. But then online, obviously, there will be your usual services where you sell your digital music, and obviously those are the how much you charge is based on what service you use. Obviously, nowadays we know that streaming doesn't pay very much, so I still suggest if you have a good following, especially older people. There are some people that are really into vinyl at the moment, so you try to maybe connect it with something else, maybe a t-shirt and a vinyl, something like that. I'm not very much into this kind of stuff, I have to be honest, even though I sold CDs at my gigs, my own CDs. Again, down in the comment, in the description, there are links to my music if you want to go and listen to it. But in general, I would say that you have to have a certain following and play to a certain amount of crowd to sell, other than selling it online. I'm talking about selling it in person. Um, to be able to make a decent amount of money out of selling merch or your own original music in physical format, so to speak. Number 8, selling your knowledge online, which is slightly different to teaching one-to-one lessons or something like that. What I mean is to sell ebooks, um, PDFs, blank templates, courses like video courses online for a one-off fee, or in terms of the course, you can have a subscription model where you say, well, every month I will do a live stream, or I will do a certain amount of videos. I will commit to making a certain amount of videos that are purely for that, for that subscription model. They're not free on YouTube or anything like that. So in my case, I wrote some books. I wrote a couple of blues books, which again are in the description. They're on my website. I wrote a jazz solo guitar book. I did a book of templates for teachers, and they had some material that I used in a slightly better format. I always found that stuff was difficult to find, so I put it all in one. It's called the Guitar Kit, and I sell that. And I had obviously then it's up to you to try to get traffic in any way, by talking to people about it, by trying to publish it. Again, mine are published through different websites. You can find them on Amazon and all that. So it's up to you where you want to get to that. But it's basically all I'm doing. I'm repackaging my knowledge and I'm trying to sell it in a different way rather than just doing one-to-one lessons. Something a bit more is more specialist, so to speak. The ninth is social media through ad revenue. Uh, Again, YouTube. Some people are successful through Instagram and TikTok. I don't know. I'm not. I feel that I'm too old for that stuff. I feel I probably was doing better years ago when I was one of the earliest ones. I've had this channel since 2007, 8, and I used it more to get traffic to my blog, where I had things that I was selling, like my books and stuff like that. Nowadays, I feel that you can probably make more money through monetization, where before it was more like ad revenue on your website, so to speak. But um, yeah, I think that's about consistency. It's what I would say is one of my regrets. I wish I had been more consistent throughout the years, but because I'm more of a performer, I always put going out to play first and trying to doing the playing the touring and all that and the teaching first. But definitely that's all about consistency. Is about creating content consistently over a certain amount of a certain amount of times per week over years, I'd say. But there's definitely scope, and definitely that's the future, I would say. The 10th way is through connecting with companies that make gear, unless you make things yourself. I have friends that sell their own pedals and stuff like that, or their own brand of guitars. Nowadays, you can come up with a concept, and you can order stuff from a supplier in China or in the Far East, and have your brand of guitars, have your brand of pedals, or a team up with an engineer and come up with your own original design of pedals. I have friends that do that. They're fantastic guitarists with a great ear for tone, or knowledge of build, like how to build a guitar that has particular characteristics. So you can do that. You can also get paid to do gear demos. I've very occasionally done stuff like that. But I find that that's another way to to generate income nowadays, and maybe to get paid if you have a good following online. Of course, you can always fix, modify, something that I looked into but never really went for. You can fix, modify pedals. You can obviously that comes with a bit of knowledge of of electronics and stuff like that, or fix guitar, build parts. Again, I have quite a few friends that do that at different levels of knowledge, but or even putting together pedal boards, which is something that is quite of the time, trying to get really a great quality sturdy pedal board that has very low noise and very low, that's a skill I find nowadays. The things have become so complex, and can create also sounds for maybe artists they don't have the time or the will or the knowledge to create a great working system for their own tour. So, well, that's that. That was my experience with generating income in different ways, my own and some of friends that I could probably add to my experience. And I hope you enjoyed that. So, again, as always, if you feel that this was of any value to you, please subscribe, share, like, and all the usual stuff. Take care. Bye bye.